Let me set the scene for you. Picture a beach so stunning it's consistently ranked as one of the best in the entire world. We're talking powdery white sand and water so clear it feels like a dream. That's Flamenco Beach on Culebra, Puerto Rico. But here's the twist, scattered along the shore are actual tanks. Yep, rusted out military tanks just sitting in the water, adding a layer of history and uniqueness you won't find anywhere else. But how did these tanks end up on one of the world's most beautiful beaches, and what is it like to spend a day in this little slice of heaven? Stick around and let me show you what a visit to Culebra is really like. Let's dive in. We started our day by taking a rainy trip over to the airport in San Juan, Puerto Rico. We grabbed some coffee and then headed over to the terminal where Cape Air flies out of, the tiny planes that go between the different islands in the Caribbean.
Here we go.
Since the weather was so poor, a lot of people canceled and there was only 2 other people on the flight with us. I got to experience a little rain from inside of the plane, but luckily it was an uneventful 25-minute flight over to the island. I used to get incredibly nervous flying on these little planes, but after the summer we spent in Alaska where we rode in 6 different types, I don't get nervous anymore. Now I actually quite enjoy flying in them and being able to talk to the pilot and just see the beautiful views. It was pretty cloudy and rainy as we made our way out of San Juan, but the views opened up quickly, especially as we left the mainland of Puerto Rico behind us. Eventually the island of Culebra came into view in front of our pilot and we could see Flamenco Beach, which was our destination. The most blood-pumping part of the trip was when we came in for a landing on Culebra, as it felt like we were 50 feet above the trees below us.
That is a landing right there, look at that.
It was no big deal for our pilot, and shortly we were on the ground collecting our bags and saying hi to our first of the many chickens we were going to meet on the island.
We made it to Culebra.
You're not fooling anybody, chicken. You're not getting on that airplane.
I'd happily let him sit on my lap on the wheel.
I had researched in advance the best way to get around the island, and it seems like most people recommend a golf cart. We booked with a golf cart company that was about a 7-minute walk from the airport, so we headed there first and then checked in to get our cart.
Here's our ride for the day. Beautiful and red.
All right, let's head out to find one of the world's best beaches and tanks. Since we got a really early start, we decided to head into the small town and see if we could find coffee and some breakfast. It was pretty easy to navigate down to the docks where the restaurants are, and we made our way to Culebra Coffee to get a coffee and an acai bowl. Before leaving, head down to the docks to see one of the famous trolls made by Thomas Dambo, known as Hector the Protector II.
I love all the chickens that are just roaming the streets. It's pretty awesome.
Note that most people come over on the ferry, and that's when the island gets busy around 9:30 or 10. So if you come over on a plane, then head to the beach as quickly as you can so you can basically have the whole place to yourself. That's what we did, and it takes about 15 minutes to get out to the beach with lots of potholes to watch out for. When you arrive at the beach, you'll need to pay $5 for parking, and then you'll need to proceed over to the entry booth and pay $2 a person to enter. At least that's what it was when we went in 2024, and you can also rent snorkel gear and chairs for the beach.
Amy has the whole beach to herself.
When did you ever see this?
The weather wasn't great, so we decided to make our way towards the tanks first and then sit and relax on the beach. From where you walk down to the beach, it takes about 10 minutes to get to the first tank.
It's sunny and perfect right now, but the rain is starting. We'll see how long it stays like this. We've almost made it to the tank, but we're hiding out because of the rain. Usually it only lasts a couple minutes.
We'll see.
When we were researching this trip, there was a threat of heavy rain all day long, but we got pretty lucky as there was only sparse amounts of rain while we were there.
There's the first of the 2 tanks right there, and then the other one is out in the ocean.
The first of the 2 tanks that you'll get to is actually up on a hill looking out over the water. Of course, the question you must be asking is, why are these tanks here? They're here because in the mid-1900s, the US Navy used Culebra for military training exercises, including bombing runs and amphibious landings.
It's so fascinating to see this rusted piece of metal right here and to know all about the history of the tanks and the military on this island. It looks like this area is probably used for partying pretty often.
I'll continue with the history in a second when we make it to the next tank.
This is already fascinating to see such a beautiful beach and to see the 2 tanks on it. Look at that one.
The second tank is only about a 5-minute walk from the first, and this is the one you've seen the most in pictures right out in the water.
What a fascinating thing to see on a beach. Never seen anything like that before.
The tank you see here is an M4 Sherman tank, which was originally used during World War II. They were amphibious tanks that could be used for landing because they could operate on the land and in the water.
It's so amazing when a story comes together like this, plus we're the only ones on the entire beach. These photos are just epic.
The military used the island until the 1970s, when activists and local residents protested the use of the island, and the Navy eventually ceased operations there. The 2 tanks that you see here were then abandoned and left to rust along the shore, leading to the interesting piece of history that they are now and the unexpected tourist attraction that they've become.
This is so cool! Well worth the effort to get all the way out here!
After hanging out for a while and seeing the tide come in so much that you couldn't even get out there anymore, we decided it was time to head back.
We're saying goodbye to the tank, but don't leave this video yet. We're gonna go to the other side of the island and see if we can swim with sea turtles. It's always weird to leave somewhere as beautiful as this beach and to know that I probably will never be back in my entire life. Try to make the most of all the memories you get.
When we made it back, they let us know that because of the storm, we weren't actually able to swim at this beach. But that wasn't a big deal for us, as we were planning to go to the other side of the island where the water's a lot more mellow and where the sea turtles hang out. Before leaving, we decided to grab something to eat as we had no idea what other options we'd have.
If you're looking for something to eat, there's a few different food stalls and souvenir stalls, and we got some empanadas, and we have lots and lots of friends all around us.
Got some tomatoes in there, shrimp.
Amy has made a best friend. I think that cat's gonna come with us.
Probably. In my backpack.
In case you were wondering, a bunch of people came over on the 10:30 ferry, so the beach is a lot more full than it was before we started eating. And it's also hot today, but luckily we got air conditioning.
Saying goodbye to Flamenco, we did the 10-minute drive over to Tamarindo Beach. On the way there, we picked up a couple hitchhikers, as a lot of people don't rent golf carts and just walk between the 2 beaches, which is a pretty good walk.
All right, we have made it to the other side of the island and the beach with the sea turtles, and it looks nice out there. I can't wait to get in.
This beach is known as a habitat for green sea turtles, which are an endangered species, and there was even a policeman who was sitting there watching to see how people interacted with them in the water.
So we brought snorkel gear, but not sunscreen, so I think I can go swimming in a shirt because it is sunny out today. Amy as well.
New fashion, Josh's shirt for swimming.
Guys, look, we got Scuba Steve over here, ready to go find some sea turtles.
While we were sitting on the shore, we heard people talking about a sea turtle they were looking at, so we tried to get in as fast as possible to see if we could see it before it swam away. Luckily, it was still there, just munching on seagrass about 15 feet below us, and we had rented these flotation devices so we could just float at the top of the water and enjoy watching him for as long as possible. After about 10 minutes of floating around and watching him go about his day, he decided to head on, so we kept swimming to see if we could find any more.
The best part about this spot is that we're just in this big cove, so there's no waves. It's very safe feeling out here, and everybody's just enjoying themselves, calling out turtles. I haven't really seen much fish, but man, this is the perfect way to spend the day.
Make sure you rent one of these guys.
The little floaty things are clutch.
It's so much better than swimming constantly.
We swam around for about 15 minutes before finally stumbling on a second turtle just a little bit before we had to get out to make our way back to the plane. This was probably my favorite shot of the entire day, seeing the sea turtles slowly come up for air before going back down to get more seagrass on the floor.
Hope you enjoyed our day trip to Culebra as much as we did.
This was definitely one for the books. So much cool stuff to see in such a short period of time. You can see all of our other Puerto Rico content in the description, and we will see you on the next video.
Of course, getting back to San Juan is just as much of an adventure, as we checked into the tiny airport, boarded our plane, and took the 30-minute flight back. I don't know if you have Puerto Rico on your bucket list, but honestly, it's one of the most fun places I've been to in a long time. Hopefully this video and the rest of the videos on my channel encourage you to go visit this amazing spot. Alright, we'll see you on the next one.